Share prices continued to tumble.
Lehman Brothers was forced to declare itself bankrupt.
The largest single point drop.
兄弟已经进入了破产清算程序。
We allow this act of chasing KPIs and numbers to get the returns. Big companies falter.
We have bank failures through unscrupulous lending.
A meltdown of the total market globally.
How could people not know that this is such a thing that could happen?
You can't expect a good corporate governance culture if the leadership doesn't practice good ethics.
They forget the superordinate things of basic integrity and allowed sometimes, I would say, greed to come into place.
Greed is a natural motivator for people to go beyond what they are supposed to do.
It will eventually destroy you.
The foundation of modern business growth in the world has been shaped to a large extent by business schools. At the same time, now suddenly I think, why have we created monsters of some of them?
Business school needs to understand the role they play. It is very profound. It is beyond delivering of curriculum.
I think it's the dawn of something big that we are touching on.
Business are getting more complex. There's a lot of opportunities for people to abuse their powers, for example.
The capitalist system has failed. We have got to go back to basic. We have to inculcate the right culture in our corporates. And this is, I think, the most fundamental issue I see now. Very important. Get the right culture.
The foundation for the new future business growth really comes back to the way education plays a part. And I think it's, when I look at education, it's also primary education as well as tertiary and business schools to do.
So how do you move forward? To me, it's about questioning what it means to be human and the role of human within organizations and society. It is only when we're able to do that we're going to be able to chart a new path. And to me, the path is the path of human governance.
And I think human governance is an area which is uncharted, I would say. But if you really look at it, actually there's a science behind what we can do with human governance.
It's the new science. I believe that is going to be the new science.
We need to make students understand the role of organizations, the role of business in society. It is very important that business school nurture human leaders. Why? Because it's these leaders who are going to go out to be able to make an impact to the society, to be able to make the world a better place for everyone.
Yeah, they taught me you can change it. Go on, do it. And what are you waiting for? That spirit, it captured me.
So for human governance, we have developed a framework which addresses both the individual self as well as the organization. Now for the organization level, we talk about policies, process and procedures which are guided by human governance. And for the self, we talk about awareness of the individual, of his or her competence as well as his or her tendency, to sort of being, not so ethical.
And the organization itself is not driven by profits. They are actually driven by a higher purpose. Okay, that is something very unique in Putra Business School, and that is something that we want organizations out there also to change.
The school must be able to nurture some values which would make us a better person in future, not only academically but also spiritually.
We make them question themselves. Why are they here at the first place? What is the reason for their existence? Once that fundamental is addressed, our students will know what to do. And that is the internal and basic compass that the students would have.
And this is what I'm looking for while I was choosing courses in MBA. Many universities, it's just like a typical university which they emphasize on result-oriented.
Because where I come from, the concept of human governance is not yet there. It's very much make as much money as you can while you can.
We never talk about how can we do
better. There are two responsibilities that we have in Putra Business School. One is for us to educate on human governance, and the other aspect is for us to actually walk the talk. That means for us to be the living example of people who practice human governance.
We are taught what is human governance, we are shown what is human governance, and most importantly, we get to execute what human governance is.
We don't have anybody controlling the sale of confectionaries and then drinks, and we trust ourselves to be able to go and use those items and pay what we think is the appropriate thing to do.
What I learned here in Putra Business School, sometimes it's a bit philosophical, but if you think deeply, the message is clear.
It is not too religious, it is not too spiritual, it's just about being a human being.
What is your purpose of being a human? How do you be a human to the people around you?
When situations arise, when things happen, it's why not look into myself first for what I could have done better, or what I could be doing better, instead of relying on external factors.
Yes, you can believe and you can change the world by including all these values and contributing to make the world change.
When you talk about changing the world, there are two aspects. One, we're talking about changing ourselves. Okay, let's start from internal. Okay, because there is no world, a better world out there, if there is no better you.
Some of the schools out there are looking at the students as a customer, and therefore they work very hard towards pleasing the customers per se. But in Putra Business School, we are looking at the students from a human angle, or the human perspective.
And I think what more around talent and people we found is leadership that makes the difference.
And he has got to think not of himself, not the I, but about his peers.
That's why we are putting much more emphasis and focus into developing the personal growth of students instead of just the technical skills in business management. It's not just reading and doing a subject as what's in the book, but also nurturing the person to think, to question, and to have the right conscience about what is the right thing. So that's what we mean by nurturing human leaders.
Yeah, one of the principles for us is to know ourselves.
But at Putra Business School, one would find that the schools is challenging assumptions in most of the cases, and also to break the boundary of conventional thinking, with the ultimate goal for the students to reconnect their mind and heart to obtain the objective of human governance.
We see that there's a lot of problems in the industry, and here we try to get the students to question what is wrong with the industry and what can they do in their capacity to make a difference.
In capitalism world, it's all about bringing profit to shareholders, and I think this model is already outdated.
Business that focus solely on profit do not sustain in the long run.
Strike a balance, find that balance, and within the balance, achieve both goals.
Everything should not be based on profit only, it should be sustainable, and it should follow the set rules of humanity instead of just outside corporate governance.
We are not only focused on the quality of our output, but we are also concerned that the quality of our output is something valuable to the next person who's receiving it.
So in the end of the day, the objective is really to nurture the human potentials instead of just producing human capital that most people will thought about.
And so we expect and we hope that graduates from Putra Business School learn from it, and then when they go back into the industry, they then know how to apply, and the application of it will allow the company and the business to have a higher performance.
Human governance was something which at first I could not make out what it is meant to be, but after going through the classes, it was a real eye-opener for me.
They trained us how to think and how to have a good thought process.
Does this decision harm anyone? Will it be a better way to do that?
And it makes you realize that things are not as how it should be. So now you are in a position of making a change, and the change can start from you.
I have more respect for my fellow human being. I am more receptive of them.
In many aspects of discussions or even decisions I made throughout my 2 semesters or in my life, I would put human as my top priority.
They search for themselves and they manage to find themselves in Putra Business School. And that, I think, is the biggest accomplishment a person would ever have.
It is not about I, it's about we. And when a leader starts to use the word we, then it encompasses and incorporates inclusiveness of the whole stakeholders.
I think human governance is very important because it's at the center of any discussion or any governance process.
Human governance can contribute not just to strengthening cooperation, but to create more value for the society. I really look forward to that day.
And I think Putra Business School is one of the progressive ones, really trying to build area or specialized knowledge and an institution of thought leadership in trying to drive human governance.
And we see most of the students flourish, and that is the biggest reward that I ever get from this job.
I really hope that Putra Business School go to town on this one. It doesn't mean when I say go to town only in Malaysia. We spread it throughout the world that human governance is the center of everything.